you been in these COVID times? You've been keeping well?
Yeah, yeah, really well. Yeah, everything's been actually really great where I live. We kind of feel like we're in our own little bubble here because we don't really know. I don't even know anyone really in town that even got COVID or
Wow.
anything. So I mean, it's, I've heard of people that knew people and that sort of thing, but where we're at, we're kind of in our own little bubble here.
So because you're quite remote, then you don't get sort of impacted as much, on that front.
Maybe. I mean, we're in wine country, in Southern California wine country, and I don't know. We haven't had a lot of cases here.
Maybe it's just all the cases of wine that you guys all drink.
Yeah,
that's keeping you well.
it's all the alcohol.
This is it.
Because alcohol kills it all, right? We just kept
Exactly.
drinking.
Exactly. It kills everything, Brande. But Brande, welcome to the conversation. Let's start off. Obviously, the audience are very much aware of who you are. But if we start really where you were born, where you're from growing up, so we get a bit of back history on yourself, and then come up towards successes that you've had, on that side.
Well, I grew up in Northern California, in the wine country region of Sonoma County, and loved living there. It was a great place to grow up. It was normal upbringing where but the type of place where, you could actually ride your bike to your friend's house and ride your bike to the park and drink out of, water hoses and play outside.
Oh.
Like that kind of normalcy, not like the kids these days, where parents have to like drive them to school every day, which is funny because, that would never happen in my household. You always had to walk to school or ride your bike.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great, normal, fun place to grow up. And then I moved to Los Angeles when I was 22 or 23.
Okay. And moved to LA. Was it a conscious decision to follow acting at that point? Was that the dream?
Yes.
I know that was that sort of your first passion, I suppose. Is that right?
Yeah. So when I was back home in Northern California, I was taking theater at my college. That was my minor. And I was driving to San Francisco and doing like extra roles in movies like The Rock and Metro and doing, I was on Nash Bridges a couple times, and did independent films with no pay, so I pretty much extended my options really in that area. Like if I knew that if I wanted to be an actress and get serious roles, it's all casting in Los Angeles. They're not casting here for big, stuff. So that's when I decided I'm not getting any younger. And if I'm going to do this, I got to go now. And I packed up a U-Haul and had no car, just my U-Haul and packed up and went to La La Land.
It's amazing what films and shows went straight in off the bat to some extent. I mean, I've actually watched quite a lot of those, and I'm sure a lot of the audience has as well. I'm not sure where you sit there with one and actually sort of count up everything that you've been in, but it's pretty phenomenal what you've actually been in. All of those sort of cameo roles, were they before the modeling, or was it the same time?
Like when I was back home, you're talking about those roles? What do you mean?
Yeah, the roles when you were back home, but also just in general, weren't you? Did the modeling run alongside the acting?
Yeah, I'd say so.
So pretty parallel on that, on that side.
Yeah, and I don't. It's so funny. It's so weird. I don't really like call myself a model because I was doing like catalog work and calendars and Playboy, and those aren't. Like a model to me is someone on the runway, doing high fashion, or somebody doing Victoria's Secret, or, you know what I mean? Like just that to me is a model. But yeah, I did all that kind of those little jobs, modeling jobs, whatever, alongside, in the beginning.
So the Nash Bridges and the Rock and the Metro that you said, was that when you were back way back home then? So that's when you're right at the very beginning. Is that
yeah,
correct?
that was before LA. That's why I was like, this is all I can do. Is you can only do really extra work living, in Northern California. So to get the real roles, you have to move to LA.
And what age were you when you were doing the extra roles? Just for people sort of,
Probably not, I mean, starting 19 to 22, before I left. And doing, independent films and stuff like that.
How much mindset is there for you to really stay with it, if that makes sense? Because it's obviously a tough grind, trying to get from those extra parts to really fight for that sort of golden moment that you're looking for, that sort of breakthrough moment, I suppose, that you're craving. How do you stay sort of focused and driven, or is that just something that's just within you?
Oh, I think that when you're someone that's driven and you have a passion and you have a goal, there's nothing that's going to stop you, right? Like if there's something you really want and that is your passion in life, you just keep going. I mean, obviously in this type of work, rejection is nonstop. But you just keep going and you keep going until the one hits, and then you keep going and going again until another one hits, and you just keep going. I mean, and you think of ways to think outside the box. You have to do things that other people won't do, to get yourself noticed and really move forward. Don't be a soldier. You got to be out there doing different things. You don't want to be like the same as everybody else.
I mean, I think the great thing that you pinpointed there, Brande, was your level of focus. And you see, you will look at it as essentially you being yourself. You've intrinsically got that determination and that level of focus. And it's obviously a passion, of yours. So all those have aligned, for you to keep on track and achieve what you've achieved.
And preparation, right? So that you have to be prepared. You have to be, your skill has to be so honed. You have to be going to the acting classes. You can't think you're just going to go and, go and audition and get a role. That does happen, but you have to have the knowledge of everything that you're getting your foot into. You have to go to acting classes. That way you're prepared when opportunity does knock, you're ready, and you can deliver.
So I'm assuming Baywatch, you would class as your breakout role. Would that be honest enough to say on that?
Yeah.
How did that even come about? How did you sort of take that sort of leap up? I mean, I'm not sure you probably know, Baywatch, obviously worldwide, incredibly successful. It was huge in the UK as well. I mean, I can remember sort of growing up, sort of Knight Rider, in terms of David Hasselhoff, which was huge in Europe, obviously because he's from Germany, etc. But it's huge in Europe. I don't know whether Knight Rider did Knight Rider hit the same levels in the US. Obviously, I wouldn't know, but I mean, I know David's obviously huge. In Europe.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, people love Knight Rider. Definitely.
So who approached who in terms of how did you get even the opportunity to join Baywatch? How did that happen?
I actually went in and was auditioning for a different role. It was a volleyball TV show about a girl volleyball team.
We could have seen you at the Olympics.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But anyway, so I went in and auditioned for this, and it just so happens that it was the same casting directors that was casting a role for Baywatch. And originally they were casting another character, but when they saw me audition for this other role, they're like, you need to meet the producers, you need to audition for Baywatch, and they even, I think it was at that place where they dragged me into the other room to meet the people, met them, came back, got all my sides and went back, home, and came back and auditioned, did a whole, I think my first audition was an actual screen test. And then if you pass the screen test, and it was going to be alongside the opposite actor Jason Brooks, actually. And then if you pass that, then they wanted to see you underwater and you did a swim test. But yeah, so it started off with another audition. They brought me in to meet the producer. They thought I would be great. And then I auditioned with Jason Brooks, and they ended up adding the role for me. It wasn't even going to be that role. It was another role that I was auditioning for, and they gave me this whole new character, Lee Dyer, who is now Jason Brooks's love interest and who was the head captain lifeguard, the head lifeguard of the tower and the whole thing. So yeah, so they basically created the role for me. It was really cool.
No bigger compliment is there really. Let's be honest. If you're going for an interview or a casting, you for one thing, and they end up essentially creating a role for yourself, it speaks volumes, doesn't it? At the end of the day, you won't get many moments in life, regardless of what industry you're in, where you actually walk in and somebody's literally not ripped the whole entire script up, but ripped up what you were going to go for, and then sort of rewrote it for you. You know, so obviously, you know, congratulations, you know, on that side. In terms of Baywatch, how much chemistry was there? Because it seemed there's a really good sort of bond. It seemed like a really, you know, it came through on the screen. I mean, obviously, yes, great acting, all those different elements, we know that. But equally, sometimes the intangibles, you know, you do pick up, you know, when you're watching sort of shows and films, and you can see that.
Yeah. Well, for us, we were lucky because we were on the island of Hawaii. You know, we shot in beautiful paradise, and because we were on this little island together, we became this wonderful family, and we all loved each other, and we were all like brothers and sisters, and we'd look forward to going to work every day. I had to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, you know, to drive an hour to work through the pineapple fields to get to the North Shore, to be there at 6 a.m. And it was just amazing. Like, I loved waking up every day and going to be with my friends on set, and we just had fun. I mean, it was the best job in the world, you know. I mean, you know, frolicking around with Jason Momoa, you know, in the water. And
I was going to say, for all the women that are watching this, they're definitely feeling your joy on that moment. Not for me, but he's a great actor anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not quite feeling it, but I understand when you're coming from.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, Hawaii, you know, amazing. I've not had the opportunity to come to the US a few times, but I've not had a chance to go, you know, to Hawaii. How is it? I mean, it's a different kind of mindset, isn't it? It's almost like a holiday experience. I know it's a job. I mean, I get that, but in somewhere so amazing, it still requires that degree of professionalism. How do you do the tougher moments when you're sort of smiling and everything's amazing? Then you've got sort of the darker moments that are written into the script. How do you sort of bring yourself a little bit down to that level?
Well, because with Baywatch, it's, you know, the intensity and the drama comes from rescues, right? Yeah. To save people. So that's easy because we are on the beaches all the time, and we were taught how to rescue and how to do CPR. And that's easy to put yourself in the moment. When you're really rescuing someone and you're trying to save their life, you know. So we didn't really have any you know, there wasn't like any crazy depression scenes, you know what I mean? It was just, we're saving lives out here. And then when we're not, us lifeguards are, you know, having, you know, romantic love triangles, or, you know, having friendships and different things like that go on. But it wasn't like, you know, serious, crazy, you know, depressed drama or anything. So.
And so in terms of Baywatch, when obviously you move on from there, you know, how do you move on from something that's so iconic? Because it's a chicken and an egg in respect that you're so synonymous by working on it, which is amazing, isn't it? You know, you'd never change that. Yeah. But equally, you're trying to forge the rest of your career somewhat away from that. And I'm not saying typecast, because that's the wrong thing to say. It's just basically you're so famous for one role, it can be almost damn, you know, it opens doors and closes the same doors, doesn't it?
Well, I think that if I was someone like Pam Anderson or Carmen Electra or Yasmin Bleeth, who are very much known for Baywatch, like they are iconic Baywatch babes. When I came around, I mean, I don't think people don't look at me and go, oh, that's, you know, the girl from, you know, that's Brande Roderick, you know, Baywatch, whatever. I don't think I have that on me. So I don't have to worry about that. Yeah. And right when I got back, I started doing, you know, films right away, Dracula, Starsky and Hutch, whatever it might be. Nanny Diaries, you know, Scarlett Johansson, just different things. I don't think that the directors, they might not even know that I was on Baywatch when I went in there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like if in America, producers and directors and all that weren't sitting at home watching Baywatch. You know what I mean? So it's the fans that are out there everywhere in the Midwest and all over the rest of the country that were watching Baywatch. But, you know, like, really, I don't think that the people in the movie industry are really sitting at home watching all the TV shows, to be honest. I think they're too busy making them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So absolutely. I don't think that I had that distinct face to where, like a Pam Anderson, where, you know, oh, that's Pam Anderson, she's the queen of Baywatch. So I think for me, it was just, I got lucky in that sense.
And you mentioned,
unless there was a sexy role, then I'd make it known. Remember me from Baywatch?
Use the Baywatch card when you need to, isn't it, on that side?
Exactly.
You mentioned Starsky and Hutch, you know, a classic, you know, such a great comedy film. I mean, you know, such legends, you know, in Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. You know, how much of a joy is that for you to, you know, get that opportunity to work alongside them? It must have been an absolute sort of thrill, I suppose.
It was awesome. Just absolutely amazing to work with them. And, you know, talking about, you know, work begets work, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I feel really pushed me over the edge getting that role is the director and Ben Stiller were a huge fan of The Surreal Life, which is a show that I did, and they watched that show. And on that show was Manny, Emmanuel Lewis, who the director was a huge fan of. So when I went into audition, they were like, oh my gosh, what was it like being on The Surreal Life? What was it like living with Emmanuel Lewis? Like, they were just so intrigued.
Yeah.
And so I always say, you know, think outside the box. But anyway, I did my audition and I nailed it. But when I left, I went to Emmanuel's agent and I send me a picture, please, and say to Todd, it was Todd Phillips, who is an Academy Award winning director now. But at the time he wasn't. But anyway, to Todd, hire my girl Brandy, Manny Lewis, you know, and I sent, and then I mailed the thing to him. So, you know, little things like that he probably got it. And he's probably just like, we got to hire this girl. Like, who does this?
Yeah, great thing that you picked on there, Brandy, because it almost leads us as a precursor into why you were so successful on The Celebrity Apprentice. And but, you know, and I watched that and I thought you were phenomenal. You know, I'll obviously come to that in a minute. But what you talked on there is essentially a lot of traits of a very successful entrepreneur, in respect that how the opportunity comes about can come in so many different vehicles. And from, it can come from what people. Oh, you there?
Right. Yeah, it was a call coming in. Go ahead.
That person's gonna be really angry with me at the end of it. I'm gonna get an invoice from them, aren't I think it was. But no, in terms of opportunities, and you do have that entrepreneur in you, in respect that opportunities come from least expected places and from phone calls that you don't expect, from people that you don't expect, from moments. And sometimes you can do all the work in, you know, under the sun and put yourself in the traditional positions to win those moments. Oh, I've done about 20 castings this week. That must mean I'm going to get that film, and it never happens. And then you'll go and bump into somebody who was also working with somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. You end up getting a casting or something you'd never even thought of. And then, but the difference is, and I always say to people that mindset makes moments. There's always moments in everybody's life, no matter whether you're young or you're old. There's moments where you capitalize and take advantage of situations and run with it.
Give you one more example. I went in an audition for a TV show called The Game, and really wanted it because at the time, you know, my ex, you know, as you know, was a football player, and it'd be really cool. And we were together at that time, like, oh, how cool if I play, you know, a football player's wife on television. Anyway, I went into the casting room in the casting director's office, and I'm just looking around, and she has this candle lit. And I was like, oh my gosh, that smells so good. What is that? She goes, oh my gosh, it's blah, blah, blah. It's my favorite. I'm like, that's so nice. I do the audition. I freaking sent her that damn candle. I
Awesome.
mailed her the candle as a thank you for reading me and bringing me in on the audition. Not only did I get 2 episodes of that show, she called me in on I did, oh my gosh, so many different TV shows with her. She called me into audition on so many things after that.
Nanny Diaries. Was that a cake fight? Was that a cake fight with Scarlett Johansson that you had? Is that right?
Yeah.
I thought if I don't mention it, I'm never going to forgive myself. So how does that, was that in the script or was that an impromptu?
Oh yeah. No, it was in the script. I wouldn't just throw cake at her. Well, maybe if she made me mad enough. No. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was a fun role. And I feel really blessed that I've gotten to work with such, huge actors right now. And it's funny, all the superheroes, it's like Chris Evans, who's Captain America.
Yeah.
He was in that movie also. So I worked with him. She is Black Widow. And then Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. And there's even more. There's a lot more. Like I've worked with all these superheroes, which is really kind of interesting. Oh, all the Batmans. Like, I don't know. It's just different. It's just so funny.
I was going to say,
something about the superheroes.
But I think the running theme is we're going to go with the running theme as yourself on all of their successes, Brande. So if there's any
there
way
you go. Yes. That's right. It was me.
It was you all along.
At all the beginnings of their career.
Exactly. If I had
I'm the common denominator.
Exactly. If I had any influence on them, I would try and get some sort of royalties for you for that, but I have none. Yeah. Maybe after about 6 hours, I'd find their agent. Probably, I think that'd be about as close as I get on that one.
I should get an award.
Well, yeah, I think so. You've got to have one. The very fact that you've worked alongside so many people that have made literally billions of turnover. Yeah. I think an honorary award.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, if I had an award in front of me, I would give it to you now for that, Brande. But I don't.
Just do the special thanks at the end of their movies from now on. If they just put the special thanks to Brande Roderick for getting me here.
Well,
that's funny.
On the very remote chance, but you never say never in this world, on the very remote chance I do speak with one of them, I'm going to actually try and put it into the conversation that they pay homage to yourself, on that one. I'm not one to go too far into that. I know Donald Trump was a fan of yourself in terms of just general, I know you're sort of pretty sick of talking about it to some extent. But, obviously it is what it is. I love the celebrity. I love The Apprentice USA from the beginning with Bill Ransom. Yeah. And so I got hooked on that show because I watched the UK version. So I'm myself in marketing business. So I watch it purely from a business perspective and not really anything else. So I watched it in the UK and then obviously watched the US for the celebrity version. So I was hooked already. How did one, was it a big decision for you to make to go into that? And two, I know you put a lot of preparation, didn't you, to going into Celebrity Apprentice. Did you see this as it's not a chance to validate because you've been incredibly successful but a chance to almost showcase even more facets to yourself? I think that's probably the best way to say, isn't it? Is that you're already successful already, and people will think what they think. That's just the way the world is, isn't it? Good and bad. But I came out of that thinking, wow, I didn't really have any thoughts either which way, what to expect from yourself. And I just felt you did phenomenal. But when you were leading up to going in, what was sort of your mindset, to going into that?
I am a very competitive person. So my mindset was, I'm going to do everything and anything to win this, what. So I was just all about, I'm going to win this. I am going to, just get in there and do everything I can. So yeah, as you know, probably I did tons of preparation. I watched all the previous seasons, which I think there were 8 seasons prior to mine. And they're long seasons. So I watched all of them because I wanted to know exactly what people were doing, what to expect. I reached out and made all my contacts ahead of time for everything so I could just have everybody ready and on speed dial to get help in anything I needed. went out and I got a Mac computer, because at that time, it was just kind of happening. The Macs, we're just kind of starting with the MacBooks and all that. So I went and took all the classes so I could, know how to design something and, hurry up and whip it out if I needed to. I just really prepared myself because I wanted to win, and I went all the way to the end, and, was on every episode. I was not the final two in going head to head because it is television and they have to pick, the biggest battle, which was Joan Rivers and Annie Duke. But I still got to be there till the end on every episode. So in the end, I pretty much accomplished, most of what I set out to do. So it was pretty exciting. I loved it.
I think you don't need me to say it, 'cause I think you probably had a million and one people already say it. I think you did yourself absolutely, credit, on that show. I felt genuinely for yourself, you got through on a lot of business intelligence, a lot of business strategy, a lot of hard work, and not just wheeling out all the contacts, finding somebody for £1 million to sort of get yourself out of trouble that week.
Right.
I think there was definitely, I would never highlight, but there's definitely some people that just literally, if they did get through a week, it was purely because they sort of escaped by almost just fundraising the way out of it, which is great for the charity. Look, in fairness, they're the ultimate winners, isn't it, of the show? So it doesn't really matter. But I definitely think it's nice, but as a viewer, you want millions raised, of course you do, and I think everybody would say that. But it's also nice when you get to the point where, okay, we're weeding out people that are just literally there, not really doing that much, but it's great that they raise money and awareness for the charity, and then you get into the nitty gritty of the business element, and it's fascinating to see, like yourself, the wheels turn and the creativity and things that you never ever see from The Apprentice and all the successes, on that branding. Where's the sort of trajectory from there, for yourself? I know you've got two, young kids, and and then you've got the best dog ever. I have to say, I saw your dog on YouTube, and your kids are amazing. But the dog's awesome. If you ever need to walk, if you're ever in the UK with your dog, please feel free for me to walk him.
There he is.
Oh.
Can you see him?
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's sleeping.
What breed is he?
A Newfoundland.
Oh, and what's his name again?
Teddy. And he's already 80 pounds. He turned 7 months old tomorrow. He's already 80 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah. But anyway, so back to your question. I've been a realtor forever, since I was 18. So I have a lot of properties now. I have 4 different Airbnbs. So I manage those, and I run my Airbnbs. And then I'm also producing and acting in all kinds of things, but I just finished and produced a film called A Killer Toast, and it's a murder mystery.
Fantastic. When does
and
that
that was
come out?
so much fun.
When does that come out?
Well, we literally just finished shooting like a week or 2 ago.
Okay.
So, but we've got Vivica Fox. She's in it. We've got Michael Paré. So we had a great cast. It's a murder mystery. It was a lot of fun. We got to shoot it here where I live in wine country. And now I'm in pre-production right now for my next film, and we're doing a horror film. So that's going to be fun. I love the horror genre. So that'll be a fun one to do.
So when you're going into that genre, I'm showing my age a bit now. Are we going for Scream in terms of horror, but sort of an element of comedy sort of intertwined in it, sort of, or are you going for Halloween, Halloween is just obviously full on horror, isn't it? It's hard,
This is more, this is going to be more, it hasn't been done before, which is really exciting. It's a total new story, but it's going to be the gore, the comedy, and the jumps. You'll still get the jumps. So it'll be all 3 of those things. It's not going to be like your Halloween. It's not that type of horror film. It's more like the gross with some of the humor and the jumps as well. Like, got to have some of that.
So for the audience, obviously we've covered so many so many areas, you know, your life, Brande. I feel like I've kept you forever and a day. It'll be Christmas at this rate.
I'd love it if people would go to my YouTube channel at Brande Roderick TV and check that out and give me any ideas of shows they want to see. Because that's a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed it, and I'm watching your videos on there as well. But I'll share them on LinkedIn and to everybody that, you know, on Twitter as well. So thanks for today, Brande. You're an absolute superstar.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Brande.
See you
Take care.
later.
Speak to you soon.
Appreciate it.
Take care.